Deadly research goes wrong when a scientist trying to cure a virus creates toxic rain that kills within seconds. Before the chaos begins, Simone rushes across a university in Denmark, late for an exam, unaware her life is about to change forever. Suddenly, her father Frederick appears, grabs her without explanation, and forces her into a car where her mother and younger brother Rasmus are already waiting. He looks terrified and drives at insane speed, ignoring every question. The weather grows darker, heavy clouds rolling in, as if something is about to fall from the sky. A crash blocks the road ahead, people shouting, but Frederick doesn't stop. He pulls his family out and drags them into a dense forest. Within moments, the first drops of rain begin to fall. Reaching a hidden bunker built by his company, he unlocks it with his fingerprint and rushes everyone inside, sealing them away from the nightmare outside. And none of them realize survival will demand unimaginable sacrifices. Inside the bunker, Simone and Rasmus are stunned, surrounded by supplies that could last for years, including food, water, and a full air system. Nothing makes sense, and the silence feels heavy. Just as Simone is about to demand answers, Frederick suddenly puts on a protective suit and prepares to leave again. Panic rises instantly. He gives only one strict rule: no matter what happens, they must not step outside until he returns. Simone tries to stop him, desperate to understand the truth. That's when Frederick finally reveals it. The rain outside carries a deadly virus. Anyone touched by it dies within seconds, screaming in unbearable pain. He is the only one who might be able to create a cure, and he must reach his company headquarters immediately. Before leaving, he looks at Simone with urgency and tells her to protect Rasmus at all costs, hinting that the boy may be more important than she realizes. Then, without another word, he disappears into the deadly rain. After Frederick leaves, fear slowly takes over the bunker. Simone nervously checks her phone, and the moment she sees the news, her heart drops. Everywhere, people are collapsing in the streets, screaming as the rain burns through them. Panic spreads instantly. Trying to stay strong, she talks to Rasmus, while their mother reassures them that they are safe as long as they stay inside. But suddenly, loud banging echoes at the bunker door. Rasmus believes their father has returned and rushes forward despite warnings. The moment he opens it, a soaked man collapses inside, his skin burning as he screams in agony. In a terrifying instant, he grabs Rasmus, trying to pull him outside. Their mother reacts without hesitation, yanking Rasmus back and pushing the infected man away. Then, making the ultimate sacrifice, she steps into the rain herself. Within seconds, she begins to suffer the same painful fate, but even then, her only concern is her children, telling them to protect each other before collapsing. With the door sealed, silence fills the bunker again, but this time it feels unbearable. Simone breaks down, desperately trying to call Frederick, but there is no connection. The reality begins to sink in. They are completely alone. Fighting her fear, she remembers her father's words about staying strong for Rasmus. Wiping her tears, she forces herself to take control. She starts checking the bunker systems, discovering that several similar shelters exist, all built by Apollo. Hoping for survivors, she tries contacting them, but no one responds. The isolation grows heavier. Eventually, she finds a radio and manages to reach a man hiding in his basement. He describes the outside world as pure chaos, with survivors being moved to hospitals in a desperate attempt to stay alive. Simone gives him Frederick's number, hoping for a miracle, but even he cannot reach him. As if things couldn't get worse, the city suddenly loses power, cutting off the radio, leaving Simone and Rasmus completely alone in the dark. Days turn into weeks, and weeks slowly stretch into years. At first, Simone struggles to survive mentally, haunted by visions of her mother whenever she approaches the bunker door. Fear keeps her inside, but responsibility keeps her moving forward. She learns every system, every resource, doing everything she can to protect Rasmus. During this time, she remembers something disturbing. Years earlier, Rasmus had suffered from a mysterious illness that no one understood. Frederick had created a special antidote himself, refusing to share full details even with his company. That memory plants a dangerous doubt in Simone's mind. Could her father somehow be connected to all this? Eventually, nearly 6 years pass, and Rasmus is no longer a child. Supplies begin running low, and he insists they must leave to survive. Simone resists at first, terrified of the outside world, but deep down she knows the truth. Staying inside is no longer safe, and stepping outside may finally reveal everything. That night, while Rasmus sleeps, Simone finally makes her decision. Wearing a protective suit, she slowly steps outside the bunker for the first time in years. Fear hits instantly as haunting memories of her mother flash before her eyes. But this time, she pushes forward. The world outside is unrecognizable. Her mother's body is now nothing but a skeleton, silently reminding her of the danger. Nature has taken over everything. Abandoned cars rust on broken roads, and the forest has swallowed entire areas. Ignoring the eerie silence, Simone heads toward a nearby hospital, hoping to find answers or survivors. But when she finally gets inside, the scene is horrifying. Dead bodies lie scattered everywhere, and the entire place is destroyed. Suddenly, a wolf appears, forcing her to hide in a room to survive. After what feels like forever, the danger passes. Shaken but alive, Simone returns to the bunker, realizing the outside world is far worse than she imagined. Back inside, Simone tells Rasmus everything she saw. The truth is clear. If they want to live, they must leave and find another bunker within the city. The next day, they prepare to escape together. But during the night, something goes terribly wrong. The bunker's oxygen levels suddenly start dropping, and neither of them notices in time. Within minutes, Simone collapses unconscious. Luckily, Rasmus hears the alarms just in time. Acting fast, he drags her toward the exit and forces the door open. They rush outside without protective suits, expecting instant death. But something shocking happens. Nothing. They can breathe. They feel no pain. Somehow, they are not affected anymore. Before they can understand it, armed survivors suddenly surround them at gunpoint. These people had been watching Simone earlier and had cut off their oxygen to force them out. Their goal is simple: capture them and steal whatever resources remain inside the bunker. The group locks Simone and Rasmus inside a room and begins searching the bunker for food. But there is nothing left. Frustrated, their leader Martin prepares to leave them trapped inside, which would mean certain death. Realizing they have no choice, Simone quickly writes a message, claiming she knows where more supplies can be found. To make sure they believe her, she deliberately destroys the bunker map, making herself the only source of that information. Now Martin is forced to keep them alive. As he watches Simone, something about her triggers a memory. Years ago, he was a soldier ordered to guard a bridge and stop anyone from leaving an infected city. One day, he saw a woman escaping with her child. He fired warning shots, but chose not to kill her. Later, he learned she was infected, and because of that decision, many soldiers died. That moment broke him, turning him into someone who trusts no one. Haunted by his past, Martin returns to the present, cold and untrusting. At first, he refuses Simone's offer, unwilling to risk his group again. But reality hits hard. There is no food left, and without supplies, they won't survive for long. Reluctantly, he accepts her deal. Simone and Rasmus are freed, though still under strict watch, and forced to guide the group. As they step outside after years, the open air and sunlight feel unreal, almost like a dream. For a brief moment, relief washes over their faces. But that feeling doesn't last. While talking, Simone learns how bad things have become. Food and clean water are nearly gone, and some survivors have turned to killing others just to stay alive. The world is no longer just dangerous. It is savage. Suddenly, another group appears in the distance, using thermal drones to hunt humans. Reacting instantly, Martin covers everyone with aluminum foil to hide their body heat, barely escaping detection. Just when it seems they are safe, two other survivors are spotted nearby. One of them, a terrified girl, runs straight towards Simone's group, begging for help. Simone wants to save her, but Martin refuses immediately, seeing it as a deadly risk. However, Beatrice from his team sides with Simone, and together they chase after the girl. The situation quickly turns worse when the girl slips near a small river and falls into the water. Moments later, armed hunters catch up, ready to kill her. At the last second, Martin arrives and shoots them without hesitation, proving he will protect his team no matter what. But the relief is short-lived. The girl has already touched the water and is now infected. With no other option, Martin is forced to kill her too. The moment hits Simone hard, but it also teaches her a terrifying truth. Rain may have stopped, but contaminated water is still deadly. After that brutal moment, the group continues toward another bunker Simone remembers, hoping it will still be stocked. Night approaches, so they take shelter inside an abandoned house. Inside, they find old hunting gear, clothes, and a few bottles of clean water. It feels like a rare moment of luck. Jean quickly gives water to Leah, who is weak and sick, showing genuine care. Watching this, Simone begins to soften. At first, she only saw them as a means to survive, but now she realizes they are not completely heartless. Maybe they are just broken by the world. Slowly, her mindset starts to change. The next morning, they continue their journey, but tension remains. Every step feels risky. When Rasmus accidentally steps into a water-filled hole, Martin instantly points his gun at him, ready to shoot. Simone jumps in front of her brother, refusing to let him die, and quickly checks him, hoping it's not too late. Simone removes Rasmus's shoe in panic and checks his sock carefully. To her surprise, it is completely dry. His shoe was waterproof, meaning the infected water never touched his skin. Relief spreads through the group, and Martin lowers his weapon. With tension easing slightly, they continue forward and finally reach the second bunker. Using her fingerprint, Simone unlocks the door. As they step inside, everyone is stunned. The bunker is fully stocked with enough food and supplies to last for years. For the first time in a long while, they allow themselves to relax. They eat properly and regain some strength. But even in this moment of relief, Simone feels uneasy. Deep down, she still doesn't fully trust Martin and his team. Later, she confronts him directly, questioning his intentions. Martin calmly explains that she has been isolated for years and doesn't understand how harsh the world has become, where trust can be deadly. Ignoring Martin's warning, Simone continues exploring the bunker, searching for anything useful. That's when she notices something strange, a phone charging quietly in a corner. Curious, she picks it up and freezes. The wallpaper shows an old photo of her and Rasmus as children. It's their father's phone. Shock turns into urgency as she calls Rasmus and checks the device. Inside, they find a recorded video from Frederick. In it, he explains that he is heading to a headquarters in Sweden to develop a cure for the deadly infection. Hearing his voice again changes everything. For the first time in years, hope returns. Simone becomes convinced that her father might still be alive. Without hesitation, she decides they must leave and find him. She shares this plan with Martin, expecting resistance, but also hoping he will help them reach the headquarters and finally uncover the truth behind everything. As expected, Martin refuses immediately. He argues that the bunker is the safest place they could ever find, while traveling to Sweden would mean crossing dangerous territory filled with hunters and unknown threats. To him, it's a suicide mission. He also points out that the video is 6 years old, and Frederick is likely dead. If a cure had been created, they would already know. His logic is solid, but Simone refuses to accept it. Driven by hope and desperation, she gathers supplies and decides to leave with Rasmus anyway. Meanwhile, Beatrice, along with Jean and Leah, chooses to follow her, believing in her determination. As they travel, their bond grows stronger, and they begin to trust each other more. By nightfall, they reach an old shelter where they share food and stories, finding comfort in each other's presence, even in a world that has completely fallen apart. The next day, they move closer to the city, but exhaustion starts to slow them down. Along the way, they find a broken bus blocking the road and decide to rest inside for a while. The silence feels uneasy, like something is watching them. Suddenly, shadows move outside, and fear grips them instantly. But to their relief, it turns out to be Beatrice, Jean, and Leah catching up. The reunion lifts their spirits, but danger is never far. Soon after, they stop again to eat, but hunters suddenly appear, forcing them to run for their lives. In the chaos, Simone gets separated and finds herself near a fence covered in missing person posters. The sight shakes her deeply, reminding her of how many lives have been lost. On the other side, she notices a small child standing alone, vulnerable and scared. For a moment, everything slows down. But then reality hits again. The sky is darkening, and rain could start at any second. Now, the question becomes terrifyingly clear. Can they find safety before the deadly rain returns, or is their fate already sealed?